So what we just did is we derived a demand curve, a demand line, a demand function, whatever you want to do. And what we did is we said, well, let's suppose we've got a situation where that's quantity and that's price. And the only thing that we're allowing to change, other things being equal, is price. And what we said is that if price is at a high level, then quantity is relatively low, say 10. If price drops to £10, quantity goes a bit higher, say 20. If price drops again, then quantity rises again, say 30. And what this does, we said that's a demand line and it's based on margin utility. And what that does then is it shows us if price is changing, what happens to demand. So what we need to think about then is, well, how do we show changes in demand? And demand can therefore change for one of two basic reasons. On the one hand, demand can change because of a change in price. On the other hand, it can change because of a change in any one of the other factors that we talked about earlier on. We talked about the idea that income could change, or the price of substitutes, or the price of complements, which are goods that that operate alongside our product. Or it could be something like advertising. There are lots and lots of other factors apart from price that affect demand. So what we need to do is to understand how we represent, firstly, a change in price, or secondly, a change in one of these other factors using our demand line. So let's take changes in price first. Let's suppose that price either goes up, or price goes down. This is the easiest one, because we actually already know. Now, something that people sometimes get confused about is they think that that line is demand. That line is a demand function or a demand curve. Demand is actually measured here. Demand is in a number of units. 10 units a week, 20 units a week, 30 units a week, 40 units a week. Demand is here. That is demand, It's a number of units. This is just a function that tells us the relationship between price and demand. So a change in price, if you want to know the effect of a change in price, we just move to a different point on that line, because that line already tells us, for every price, what is demand. So if price is £20, we know that demand is 25 units. If price goes up to £30, fewer people want to buy. Now that doesn't cause the line to move, because the line is already drawn for all prices. So if price goes up to £30, we just move across and we say, look, only 10 people are willing to buy it anymore. If price drops to £10, loads of people want to buy coffee and demand rises to 40. So an increase in price leads to a contraction in demand. Demand contracts. A decrease in price leads to an extension in demand. We end up with a higher quantity rather than a lower quantity. And these things in general, taken together, they're called movements along the demand line. And they occur as a result of a change in price. And that's because the demand curve is drawn assuming that nothing else is changing. The only thing that's changing here is price. So we just move to a different point along the line. So let's suppose that there's a change in something else. So let's suppose, for example, that there is a successful advertising campaign, something along those lines. So what we've got is we've got our demand line. So there's quantity. Demand is measured, as we said, along that axis. There's price. There's our demand function, and that tells us that at the moment, if price is £20, say 15 units are bought, or tried to be bought. If price drops to £10, maybe 35 units can be bought. Now let's suppose that there is a successful advertising campaign. What happens now? Well, at the price of £20, it used to be that 15 people a week wanted to buy it. But now, with the successful advertising campaign, presumably a larger number of people want to buy it. So instead of 15 people wanting to buy it, it's a very successful advertising campaign, maybe 40 people want to buy it. At a given price, at a given price, at a fixed given price, demand has increased in this case. So instead of being at point A, we're now at point A dash. For the same price, because of the advertising, more people want to buy it. Alternatively, suppose it had been a different year, and price had been £10, and before the advertising campaign, demand had been 35 units a week. Now, after the advertising, demand's going to be higher. So instead of being 35, maybe demand is now, say, 65, something along those lines. So instead of B, we're at B dash. So what that means is, whatever the price is, the advertising campaign results in an increase in demand. And we call this a shift. Demand has shifted to the right, to D2. Because whatever the price is, demand is now higher. The number of units that consumers try and buy is more than it was before. So we can see here, that a change in any other factor other than price, that leads to a shift in the demand function. The whole line moves. In this case, it's shifted to the right. But we might see something else. We might say, suppose we look at the demand for hairdressing during the coronavirus lockdown. So there's quantity, there's price. That's the demand before lockdown. Here's an expensive haircut. Here's a cheap haircut. At £50, not very many people have their haircut, say 15 a week. At £10, we're all there all the time, 45 people a week. After the lockdown, it's very, very difficult to get your haircut. So what we might say is that, maybe a haircut's a bad example, but you see what I mean, which is that as a price of £50, demand, instead of being 15 units, demand drops to 5. Or probably 0, to be honest, but anyway, you know what I mean. So instead of being A, we're at A dash. Demand has shifted to the left. At £10, it used to be there were 45 people, maybe now there's only 20 people. So again, fewer haircuts or whatever it is, doesn't really matter, are being demanded. So therefore, the whole demand function has shifted from D1 to D2. It's shifted to the left. So favourable changes in favourable factors, apart from price, demand shifts to the right, like that. Unfavourable changes, apart from price, then demand shifts to the left. So to the right we go D1 to D2. To the left, we go same way, D3 to, but this time D4, it shifts to the left. So what we're saying, is that demand can change, for really one of four basic reasons. So it could be that price goes up, that leads to a contraction in demand. We move along our demand line, so demand falls in that way. It could be that price goes down, in which case we get an extension in demand. So instead of quantity being at Q1, now quantity is at Q2. So that's an extension in demand. It could be another factor in a favourable fashion, in which case we go D1 to D2. Or it could be another factor apart from price in an unfavourable direction, in which case demand shifts again from D1 to D2, but this time it's shifting inwards to the left. And we said that these two taken together are called movements along, and these two taken together are shifts in demand. And that's what causes demand curve to shift.